Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. In the last couple of days, I was talking to an old acquaintance. She contacted me recently. She still seemed to have had my contact information, and I haven't been talking to her in over 5 years, I think now. Back then, she was introduced to me as the friend of a friend, so we were hanging out together, but to be quite honest, she was never really my type, and I was never really fond of her. That's why I'm referring to her as an acquaintance. So as a little bit of background information before I explain what I actually want to be covering in this video, she is from Southeast Asia and she lives in Germany for about 10 years already. She speaks okay German, not perfect, but she can communicate. And since she moved to Germany, she was continuously employed in a field that is as non-essential right now as it gets in the context of the current crisis. So in short, for about a month now, she is without a job because her employer had to close down the business temporarily. And all of a sudden she called me and wanted to know how I am doing. So today's video will be kind of unusual for my channel. Normally I like to keep things rather separated, but in this video let's go all crazy. Let's become intersectional and mix everything. Facts, statistics, news reports, as well as personal anecdotes of isolated individual cases. I really want to do it this way in this case because the conversation with her is what triggered my interest in these topics that I'm going to present now, and I started to do some research after I had talked to her. It turned out that her case must be actually very representative of many of our guests that came to live with us here in Germany in the recent years. So I'm talking about the economic role that they are playing here in Germany, how they are managing their finances, and what kind of options our German system gives to them that actually native Germans really don't have. But before we get into the specifics, I want to thank all my subscribers and my supporters. You guys are awesome. You guys help me to keep up this channel and to keep going. Please like, share and subscribe, and if you find this material entertaining and worthwhile, consider making a donation via PayPal or supporting me via Patreon or Subscribestar. So let's get into the juicy details and start from the anecdotal case. That was also the starting point for the research I did. So under the pretense of being bored due to lockdowns right now, she rather quickly steered the topic of the conversation in the direction of her situation. She wasn't so interested about how I'm doing after all. So she told me that she is unemployed right now and that she can probably start working again earliest by September. She went on to say that normally she is actually transferring a substantial sum of money each month back to her family in Southeast Asia. Now I was about to hang up the phone actually, but when I heard that I thought, maybe this is gonna get interesting. So she said she had to stop sending money back home and that her poor mother had to start working again now. So I asked her, does your mother not work normally? And then she said, no, because I'm sending money, my mother doesn't have to work and neither do my siblings actually. So there is a whole family in her native country now who are just not working because she's sending money from Germany every month. So they could be improving their lives, they could do something for their country, but no, they get money from Germany. And these poor people have to actually go to work again now. I am utterly shocked. Then I asked her if she has any savings. She said, of course, no, she can't have any savings because she has to send money back home. Then she said that she cannot buy food anymore and she's living off peanut butter and bread right now. And she asked me to help her fill out forms for applying for welfare. Instead, I did a quick internet search and I sent her the link to many job ads that we have at the moment in Germany. The jobs were very close to her apartment or in the general area where she's living. She could have easily paid the rent with that, and there were no prior skills required. The jobs were mainly in the agricultural sector of Germany. Normally, we have spring vegetables such as white asparagus, for example, right now, and that is a very labor-intensive harvesting process. Normally, we get seasonal laborers, seasonal workers here from Romania or Bulgaria, but because of the current situation, they cannot come or they don't want to come right now. So as a consequence, the German farmers at the moment who need help are advertising like crazy, and we have a lot of open positions for people who want to help in the harvesting process here. If you are a able-bodied person, you can easily do that. You don't need to be super strong. The first 2 or 3 days might be a little bit uncomfortable, but everybody can really do that. And the farmers are more than happy to have you right now. Of course, she declined that. She doesn't work on farms, she said. Instead, she wanted welfare. Now, when it comes to welfare in Germany, I have to tell you that if a younger German person wants to go on welfare, he has to declare his complete financial situation to the authorities in Germany, and they don't allow him to have any meaningful savings. The amount of savings that they allow you is going up a little bit when you get older, but it's not substantial. So a young person is not allowed to have virtually any savings if he wants to go on welfare. How convenient then that this is actually not enforced in the same way for Germans and foreigners. It is very easy for German authorities to check what possessions, what alternative sources of income or how much wealth a German citizen has whose entire family lives here. But in the case of foreigners, the authorities often don't even investigate, or when they say, oh, I had to support my family back in Southeast Asia, they don't think really twice about it and they think, yeah, of course, that's what they do. This is perfectly legal, perfectly allowed. But what the family does really with that money, nobody ever checks on that. Are they buying food? Are they paying the rent? Or are they actually investing the money? Or are they actually paying the mortgage for a house? Maybe she and her family actually have a lot of wealth at home, but nobody has it on the books because it's abroad. A German doesn't have that option that easily. And a German has to use up all his savings, all his wealth before he gets a single cent of welfare normally. So of course I told her that I'm not helping her to go on welfare, and I told her that she should look at the job ads that I sent her instead. I told her that if I were not employed right now, I would totally help on the farms. There is nothing wrong with that. It's honorable work and you're doing actually a great job to help people here. Our politicians actually told us that people who claim to be persecuted so that they can come into Germany, that they could help actually because the workers are needed on the farms right now. If you actually ask the farmers or you have a look around at the farm like RT Germany did now very recently, you actually find out that this was all a big fat lie, that there are no guests of ours, but they are just ethnic Europeans, ethnic Germans that are helping out on the fields. They are normally university students whose part-time jobs were cancelled because of the current situation, and they see it as a paid workout that actually can boost their income right now a little bit. But people of a more colorful complexion were not to be seen anywhere near these fields. So coming back to this phenomenon of foreigners sending back home money, or it's called remittances, I think. This is actually a very, very big chunk of money. It's a very common phenomenon in many first world countries. So as a little example from Germany, in the year 2016, the part of the federal budget of our country that was dealing with foreign aid was a little less than 8 billion euros. In the same year, 2016, however, foreign guests were transferring almost $20 billion. That's like 18 billion euros back to their countries of origin. That is money that will never be spent in Germany, and it is just sucked out of our economy, gone forever. We only know about these numbers actually because the AfD started an inquiry in our federal parliament in 2018. And we all know, of course, that unlike my acquaintance who actually worked for that money, a lot of these people are transferring back part of the welfare payments that they receive from the German taxpayer. And that is, of course, not okay. The AfD wants to actually limit that. They don't want that German tax money is used as an alternative or irregular channel of foreign aid. Welfare should be for the living expenses of the people who live here and who go on welfare, not for their entire village or their entire families in some other country. And even researchers are actually criticizing that system because, as I already mentioned before, and as I can clearly see in the individual example of my acquaintance, her family is not working. They don't see a motivation, they don't see a reason to actually go to work in their own countries because of that. And that is, of course, not helping the development of those countries, but it is actually standing in the way of the economic development of these poorer countries. So a whole different aspect that one can see when you look at the story is the problem of personal savings and financial responsibility. Another way to look at the case is, how can it be that a person who was continuously employed for over 10 years now doesn't have personal savings that would even cover 1 month of rent extra? To live hand to mouth like that is absolutely inexplicable to me. I cannot understand people like that. You need a little bit of a cash cushion, and at times like these, it is actually becoming very clear why that is. And everybody can afford that. If you can't afford to save that much over the course of several years, then your rent is too high, you live in the wrong neighborhood, your expenses are too high. Or you need to find a way to work a couple of extra hours. And then it is, of course, so cliche that it is a millennial woman that lives like that. The millennials are the generation that doesn't save a lot. Generation Z are actually, in Germany at least, one can say that they are saving more money. Saving is more important for them, but the millennials are really the ones that don't save a lot of money. And especially women generally, they save some cash maybe, but they don't invest. And that means that later in life, and especially when it comes to retirement, they don't have any savings that are worth mentioning really. They have very high living expenses and they like to go on trips and they even save a little bit of cash, but they don't really invest. So they will not experience growth in their wealth over the course of their productive years. So even though single young millennial women are in many countries and in many industries already out earning their male counterparts, they still are way behind when it comes to savings and to successful investments. So I don't know what this lady is doing now. I told her that helping her with her welfare application is the last thing that I would consider doing. And I'm more than happy to point her into the direction of a German farmer who is looking for some help on his plantation or on his farm right now. But I think it is morally not okay that she says that she doesn't want to work right now and she doesn't have any savings and she just wants to go on welfare here. Let's just say that I haven't really heard from her since and that the conversation was mysteriously, coming to a close right about that time. Okay, let me know what you think about that topic. Have you ever sent money home to your family when you worked in another country? Or is that being practiced in your country maybe? Are you on the receiving end of this transaction? Or is your country actually one of the exploited countries where foreigners are actually sucking a lot of money out of the economy in this way? I'm looking forward to your comments. Stay safe wherever you are, and as always, Servus, Kameraden.